Zero Authority is a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems. Thanks for supporting the community. Remember why you started.
We believe in this opportunity to work in Web3, and people coming in will be a massive shift.
There's a lot of opportunities that are for naught. They're lost, and their people's skills and their what they're really capable of doing is not able to be shined through right now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are. Welcome to another Zero Authority live session. We are a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems built on stacks secured by Bitcoin. Today, we're talking to John from NeoSwap. He's been a community favorite. He's been tweeting about stacks, Bitcoin, everything Web3. NeoSwap has created a really cool, innovative marketplace where it's built on AI to do swaps for NFTs. You guys are officially back home on stacks. And I mean, home is relative term. It's going to be a multi-chain world. We all understand that. We know that. Before we dive into the many topics about what was your journey like branching out from stacks and coming back and doing some other things, and kind of we're still in the crypto winter, and depending on your take, maybe we're close to the next bull run here with Bitcoin happening in 20 what is it, March 2024. So that's on the horizon. But before we get into all of those topics, Hodl Stacks, John, how are you guys today?
Yeah, doing great. I mean, we're rolling along at NeoSwap. It's been an adventure, as you said, the hero's journey. So we're on it. And yeah, it's good. I mean, every day we're getting tons of stuff done. So yeah, just staying focused, working.
Sweet. Hodl, how are you, man?
Doing really good. Excited to be kind of back from our hiatus, and what better person to chat with than John? I mean, you talk about someone that's just head down, just building stuff. You guys at NeoSwap are really just a key example of people just building regardless of what's going on, market conditions or whatnot. You guys know how to provide value. So,
thank you. Okay.
Yes, it's been really cool to see the journey, John. Can you just give us kind of just like the high level summary how NeoSwap started? A lot of us know the story, but if you're tuning into the first time or you watch this on the recording, what is NeoSwap and what can you do?
Yeah. Well, NeoSwap is really a kind of novel form of commerce that's made possible by AI and Web3. At the end of the day, that's what it is. I mean, you think about there you go. In human history, back in the very beginning, even before there was money, people had stuff and they had needs, and their needs didn't always match their stuff. And so they had barter. Okay. Now barter has all sorts of problems. It doesn't scale. It's inefficient. You have all sorts of mismatches in value. And so pretty quickly you get things being used as currency. Okay. But over a very long period of time, there have been lots of efforts to go beyond money. There are all sorts of problems with money that suppose you want to buy something and you can't afford it. Right now, you have to either do some work or take out a loan, or you have to sell something you have. Okay. But whatever you're doing, you're having to pass through money. And it's a big bottleneck that we all kind of take for granted, but it's there and it's slowing things down. And as a result, the friction of getting new things, basically, if you could get rid of your old stuff and get new stuff, you could become wealthier without having any more money. But there's just so much friction right now in the world that way of conducting commerce hasn't really been possible until about, say, 2 years ago. And I would say about 2 years ago, you finally had a place where the math was ready, the solvers were ready. You could start to make predictions, you could start to collect data, and you could start to figure out what is an intelligent way to reassign ownership of assets, whether you're talking about fungible assets like, say, Bitcoin, or non-fungible assets like NFTs, but how can you reassign ownership of things so that everyone benefits? Okay. That's where we're really solving the central problem in commerce. And it's something that I've been interested in since I was a child. That when I was 12, my parents started to do this kind of strange thing at Christmas where they would buy all the Christmas presents, and then instead of putting labels on them, they would just give them out at random. and we would have to trade them with each other. A lot like, actually, we think about a post reveal. Suppose you have a reveal at a NFT mint. You get your items, and maybe you don't actually like them. And so now people are busy trying to trade, sell, whatever. It's very inefficient. So I was in that situation as a child. And you can imagine, nerdy, socially dysfunctional 12-year-old who's good at math and not really good at anything else, found that situation to be very stressful. And so it got me interested in that problem. In 2017, I came up with a solution. Now, keep in mind, we are not just doing barter. That a big insight is that when money is involved, many more trades are possible because money tends to equalize value. Like, it allows, if you imagine, basically, you've got these blocks, like each thing you're trading has a certain amount of value to everybody, and you want to make that trade good, you could end up with these big mismatches where, I've got something you really want, and maybe Hodl's got, so I've got something you really want, Zero, right? You've got something that Hodl sort of wants, and then, Hodl's got something that I want, whatever. You have a trade that could kind of happen, but it wouldn't really be fair. Well, if you get money involved, you can make that work. You can make it a good trade for everyone, okay? And the thing is, you don't need a lot of money to equalize compared to the current world where you actually need a lot of liquidity. Think about all the discussions about liquidity. There's so much discussion about liquidity. It comes up all the time. The reason it comes up all the time is that the financial system is broken in a fundamental way that we don't really appreciate because we take it for granted. We just grew up in this world where you need liquidity, and it's like, sand in the gears all the time. So that's what we're doing at NeoSwap, is we believe that there is now finally a new form of commerce, which is more efficient. It's also more accessible, because right now, think about it. If you're a relatively poor person and you want to transact, it's very hard. There's all sorts of things not really available to you. Even if you actually have a lot of stuff that you spent your money on, you're stuck. So we want it to be more accessible, and we want it to be mutually beneficial. So we have this new way of doing things that we're really excited about. And the Sachs community has been great to us. So we can talk about that if you like, or we can talk about anything else along the way.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to talk about that. Hodl Sachs, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say that this new form, it's interesting. The problem you were talking about, it almost necessitates needing the blockchain to be able to solve it, right? The ability to have very fungible money and to have these assets on chain. I think you've talked about before how it can be hard to find enough people to transact in person for something like this. A lot of these multi-dimensional trades, but when you have the internet and the blockchain put together, it kind of makes that possible, right?
That's right. That, in 2017, I tried to use these ideas with Facebook Marketplace, and it's just basically impossible. That for one thing, in the physical world, things are always going to be harder. There's always going to be all sorts of complications. So if we can do this sort of trading in the digital world to get started, that's the right place to start. But even in the digital world, you still need access to a database. There's this idea that floats around that anything you can do with the blockchain, you could do with a centralized database more efficiently. Okay, that is just wrong. And the reason it's wrong is you don't have admin rights to the database most of the time. Okay, that in Web3, you got, say, Stacks, Solana, Polygon, whatever. You have these blockchains, which are databases that are specialized for ownership. This is the kind of the trade-off. This is what people don't get. A regular SQL database can do all sorts of things. It can store images, it can do all sorts of things. Or you can have JSON files in a non-SQL database. You have all sorts of database structures and schema that can handle very flexible sources of data, okay? Now, in the blockchain world, almost the only thing we really care about is who owns things. That's a big simplification. That the data that you're really, for the most part, like what a blockchain does at the end of the day, it's a database for ownership. So it's a big simplification. And what you get as a trade-off there is, so you give up the sorts of data that you can put in the database, but in exchange, you get this very flexible form of read-write access, where the three of us can reassign ownership of our items without needing any admin rights. We don't have to go to an admin and get permission and have him change the records in the database. We don't have to have that rights ourselves. We just own the things, and owning the things is good enough to allow us to reassign to change the ownership record. Okay, that's a profound idea. That the ownership has now been abstracted to its purest form, so that we can reassign it using only the permission of the people involved. Okay, which is exactly how it should be. It's so beautiful. And you don't get that with a SQL database on AWS or whatever. Even if all the Solana nodes are running inside AWS, it doesn't really matter, because if all you care about is reassigning ownership, you're not worried about censorship resistance. You just want to reassign ownership. Even then, from a user perspective, it's better because if these were like SQL databases on AWS, we would need admin rights to change the records. Okay, we need like read-write access. But if there's Solana nodes running on AWS, we don't need that. We just need to own the items and we can reassign ownership. Okay, that's a big important idea, and I would say 99%, especially at Bitcoin maxis, they don't get it at all. That's a really big idea. It's a big whiff because they're so obsessed with money. They don't understand that ownership is actually what matters. Money's just a special case of ownership. Yeah. Ownership is what matters. And reassigning ownership is the heart of commerce. Okay, so blockchain makes that very easy. That's why we like it. And it's not really just about money. Yes, I actually think we talk about stacks and some of the innovations that are coming with.
Yeah.
But
we are going to talk about some of those because you had a tweet on our tweet, and we kind of went back and forth, and something Hodl Stacks and I talk about a lot is pricing things in Bitcoin. And before we go there, though, I did want to ask you. You started your investor update, which was really cool, and I think you've given a lot of people some inspiration for how they could do that.
Yeah,
being in crypto winter, you guys kind of branched out, but now you're back on Stacks. But does that mean that you're building primarily on Stacks, but you're also looking for other chains to be a part of?
Well, we're still on. So okay, to be clear, we're still on Solana and Polygon.
Okay.
So we basically expanded out to Solana and Polygon. We can talk about that journey. Let me just wrap up the reason why Web3 makes what we're doing really possible. Why is it that you can finally do this with Web3? Okay, so you have now, when you find a multi-way trade, you can actually do it. Okay, that's something that's new. If you're trying to do it in Web2, it's just way too hard because you need admin rights. Now we can actually do the trade. The other thing is that blockchain gives us all sorts of publicly available information. Okay, that we can look at the blockchain, we can get data, we can use those data to train AI. I think that blockchain and AI are extremely complementary technologies. Okay, that AI is good at search, and blockchain gives you data for search. Okay, also gives you data for training predictions. You want to train models, you have a lot of data coming from blockchain. It's good for training. And then when you know what you want to do based on the AI, you can actually do it because of the permissionless nature of the blockchain. Okay, so those two, that's why I say that they're soulmates, those technologies. Okay, so that's the kind of puts the end of that. Now, getting back to our journey. When we first built on Stacks, we built in a framework that's called Angular. Okay, now don't ask me too many questions because I'm not a front-end developer, but I can just tell you, big picture, we were using an older framework than Hamza was familiar with because that's what he had been building in most of his life. Okay, so the early versions, which were called Tridimple, or the first version of NeoSwap, was written in Angular, and that was running on Stacks, and it was written in a way that was deeply tied to Stacks because it was kind of built in a hurry, whatever, I mean, it was all kind of kludged together with Stacks. So when we started building on Solana, we had a new developer, Eamon, who's our front end lead. He has been a consultant for years in React. So he wanted to build in React. So we started building our Solana app in React. So we had two apps that we were maintaining. Okay, so we're building on Solana, running on Stacks. Then the SPF stuff happened. And we realized we had to get on Polygon as soon as possible because we just had to make sure we had our bases covered. We couldn't be only on Solana because actually I have to say Solana community has really pulled through the last few months. Solana has survived at this point. It's not clear what's going to take Solana down because it survived the SPF stuff. So what else could be worse? It seems like Solana really has now shown that it's got staying power. But at the time we didn't know that. And we had investors that were worried. So we had to go to Polygon as well. And so then we're looking at a situation where we have to expand to a new chain. Meanwhile, we're having to support a legacy app in a different language. And so we had to shut down Stacks while we got live on Polygon. So we did that. And then we actually got live on ETH. We're privately live on ETH. So we got live in our React app. And then once we had a little bit of time, we said, all right, let's now expand back to Stacks in the new app. So we have a multi-chain app that will run on Solana, Polygon, and Stacks. And there's a bunch of reasons why we like being on Stacks. I mean, some of it is, emotional nostalgia or whatever. But a lot of it is that the Stacks community is, it must have one of the highest IQs of any average IQs of any of the communities. It's such a community of like enthusiastic early adopters who really believe in the project. Okay. So there's not a ton of people on Stacks, but they're all die hard. And so when we do NeoSwap parties on apps, I think or the NeoSwap parties on our, on Stacks, we had like 36 people in one of the parties last week, and 30 in another. We have great turnout. And so that allows us to do lots of testing. So for us to have new ideas to test them on Stacks is really beneficial, because on Solana and Polygon, it's so big, it's very transactional, just in terms of, the app. If the app isn't immediately obviously good to somebody, they're just going to tune out, because there's just so many choices. Okay.
Yeah.
So Stacks is a great test environment for us. And we love Stacks. And who knows, I actually think 50-50 chance Stacks will become a major chain within 3 years. Okay. May happen, may not happen. I don't know. We can talk about the conditions that would help that to happen. But most of the world is not in Web3. Even any chain that's very ahead right now could easily fall behind if another chain is able to onboard all those new users who aren't even in Web3. So the future is not at all written. And Stacks has a lot of advantages. So who knows? Maybe Stacks will become a big chain. Could happen. But one way or the other, it's great for us for testing our ideas.
Yeah. I love the backstory there, and kind of the methodology of why you guys did what you did. It was turbulent times for sure. And, now that you're kind of got your stake into the different chains and all of that, you can start building the user base in different areas. One thing I would like to dive into, you were talking about that 50-50 chance of what Stacks does and all of that. And maybe some of the benefits and the drawbacks you see. Would I always appreciate your insight and stuff like that. So
yeah, totally.
Well, I think what Stacks has going for it is that in its final form, if and when SBTC all comes through and you've got the integration with Bitcoin, it's very clean, and the Stacks mining problem is solved and decentralized, and there's a bunch of solutions coming for that. That with Stacks, what you'll have is basically as close as you're going to get to kind of open, permissionless, decentralized smart contracts on Bitcoin that are secured by Bitcoin. Not exactly on Bitcoin, you guys all know that, but it'll be secured by Bitcoin. And so I think you have this deep integration with Bitcoin, which I think we all agree is the best base layer for the monetary system. That it's unbelievable how much better the world would get if the dollar stopped being the global reserve currency. But it would probably be very turbulent. I don't know. Maybe as an American, I benefit from that in all sorts of ways I take for granted. But still seems to me like there's a lot of trouble that's caused by the dollar. And there'd be a lot of advantages if Bitcoin could become the global reserve currency. Now, that's fine. You still have to have commerce. And that's where I think Stacks can really shine. I think smart contracts on Bitcoin, which is what Stacks essentially provides, especially with SBTC, where if you could have the currency that's moving around on Stacks essentially be Bitcoin, is great. That would be an economy that would be hard to censor. Okay, it'd have a censorship resistance, and there'd be hard currency underneath it. That could be very good for decentralized finance and for securing real world assets. Companies like Materium, we have a partnership with Materium. Increasingly, you're going to see real world assets, starting with the high value items, and it'll kind of trickle down. You're going to, well, you already do, watches, paintings, fancy cars, cases of wine, this kind of thing. The ownership of those items will be recorded on chain. And those are items for which the censorship resistance is really important. Okay. If you're talking about video games and swords inside video games and stuff, censorship resistance really doesn't matter that much. Let's just be honest about it. It doesn't really matter that much. I think that's why, people talk about Solana or any of these other faster chains that are maybe less censorship resistant in principle. Although Solana people would argue that they're fairly decentralized. I think it depends on the metric, but there's I don't want to get out of my area of expertise, but I think it's called the Nakamoto coefficient. It's actually reasonably high on Solana. Anyway, one way or the other, if you have a fast chain that is not censorship resistant, but what's happening on that fast chain is stuff inside video games, virtual worlds, where the censorship resistance is not actually that important, and you're getting performance benefits and you're getting interoperability, because related to that read-write discussion is the fact that Web3 gives you interoperability, where people like us can have an idea. We can build an app. We don't have to integrate with existing apps. We can just build our app and do it on the blockchain, which is kind of a shared database. That benefit can be accrued to a fast, high-performance chain that doesn't really care about censorship resistance, as long as the items that you're transacting with are not important in some grand sense. But if you're talking about, Rolexes and stuff like that, censorship resistance starts to matter. You don't want to get your watch confiscated, especially when you think of what's happening with central bank digital currencies. Yeah, you do go to a protest that Trudeau doesn't like, and then all your stuff's gone. Like, that wouldn't be good, And that did happen in Canada. They did lose their access to the finance. Like, I don't know what's going on in the Western world. Like, it literally happened in Canada. There was a protest. The government didn't like it, and the government turned off the bank accounts of the protesters. That's crazy. But that happened. I mean, it's just totally crazy. So people should hopefully at some point start to wake up to the fact that having the ownership of your stuff recorded in a database that can just be censored isn't a good idea. And depending on how aware of that idea people get, I think the better it'll be for stacks, because you'll have really the hardest, kind of least confiscatable record of ownership. The most pure record of ownership will be the Stacks Bitcoin integration. So that's the world in which I think Stacks really succeeds. Now, unfortunately, let me just be honest, people don't seem to, a lot of people just go through their lives like zombies, and they just don't even seem to pay attention to what's going on. And when the Canadian protests happened, they're like, oh, well, they were bad people, so I guess it was okay. They didn't learn anything about that. There's a story. First they came for the communists. Then they came for this person. Like, we all learned that in school. At what point are we going to use that knowledge? Like, first they came for the truckers. It's the same structure. I don't know why people have a hard time understanding that little story is not just about one set of people. It can apply to anybody. And if the truckers are getting their bank accounts turned off, maybe we should wake up, because why would it be just the truckers? It can be anybody the state doesn't like. They're going to turn off their bank accounts. So, I don't know, people wake up to that, could be very good for Stacks, because I think Stacks has a solution.
Yeah, that reminds me too. I'm going to share this tweet here. I think the best path forward for Stacks is to price everything in BTC. This is something that Hodl Stacks and I talk about a lot as we build our marketplace for Web3 services and gigs. We've thought a lot about making the default payment option in. Before SBTC came along, we were going to say, well, XBTC, but if we have SBTC available, well, then why shouldn't we be pricing it in this in the native currency of the internet?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's right. And apparently there are some solutions coming that may allow things to be priced strictly in BTC. I said or BTC if possible.
Let me say Satoshis or outright Bitcoin, right? So I guess you can make it easy there too.
Yeah, there's a unit problem for sure with Bitcoin, but
it is.
Yeah. Well, there's this idea of what is it, bytes or bits or something. I don't know. People have all sorts of ideas about how to denominate it better. But yes, I agree that having it be tied to Bitcoin, and it'd be a lot better too. There's always a criticism on Stacks. It's just some sort of scam coin. Well, if you don't see Stacks, if you only need it to pay the tolls, then I think that would also help with the appearance of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those that are going to be watching this now or in the future, little synopsis of SBTC real quick is you're able to take your Bitcoin, it essentially gets held by all of these stackers. And at that point, you are custodied SBTC as a result of that. And the amount that is stacked in Stacks can never be more than the amount of Bitcoin that's held. So there's always a incentive for people to act accordingly, or they will lose more money than what they have available. And so the peg in is I think fairly quick, and the peg out's a little slower. But
it is trustless, right? And you can there's no chance that you're going to get SPF'd, right? It's all trustless, and if
it is trustless,
back you can,
yeah, it's
good.
It's always there too. It's not, it's always there, and it's validated by all of the people that are stacking. So it's I guess in some ways it's similar to kind of how Ethereum works, but I would say a little bit more secure. Maybe.
Isn't it clear there's no unstaking mechanism for Ethereum?
I believe so. Still,
that's coming in it's called the Shanghai upgrade. I don't know enough about it, but I do think that kind of is interesting, right? You don't have access to any of your funds yet.
For years. That's very funny. Okay. Anyway. All right. Well, let's
No,
get back
but here's where I wanted to go with this, and I've seen so many conversations, right? Because stacks, and a lot of us have found stacks because we were Bitcoiners, and because we believe in the principles of Bitcoin, decentralized, permissionless, and censorship resistant. And if stacks can achieve that future, and with the actual execution of a non-custodial Bitcoin on stacks, peg in, peg out, kind of like the layer twos, right? Something I've been talking to Hodl about. If you, and I think more people are realizing the business of blockchain is how much is block space worth, right? So if you on Bitcoin, I saw a tweet from Dan Held. He was saying it was the NFTs on Taproot. I don't know enough about it, but I think it was interesting because it does increase the demand for block space, which is a net positive for utility, but also longevity over time. But also it's something that Munib said weeks ago on a Twitter space is that stacks transactions can make up to, I think, 10 to 20% of the block space for Bitcoin. And I thought that was really interesting. Now, is that enough? I always argue that they're happy getting faster transactions and don't really care about decentralization until it matters. And so one could even argue that, but where the future is going, I would have to believe that all apps on stacks at some level would want to price it in Bitcoin or Satoshis.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah. It's there's Bitcoin NFTs. I mean, one thing that I think Bitcoiners are in denial about is that there's a long-term security problem. That as the number of Bitcoin yet to be mined goes to zero, as the block reward goes away, there has to be some incentive for people to continue to mine or to keep the blockchain active, right? To update the database. And when the block reward is gone, what is it going to be? It's going to have to be either fees or the 21 million will break, and that'll have to be changed to keep increasing so that there'll be rewards. That's just a fact. And Bitcoiners are like in total denial of that fact. They just think that some magic thing is going to happen as you come up on 21 million. If you don't have useful stuff going on that gives people a reason to pay fees to the miners, then the chain will die, or the 21 million will break, and it'll have to be expanded. Okay, and once that's expanded, I think that's the death of Bitcoin once it gets expanded, because who's to say you can't expand it again in the future? It really can't. I think for Bitcoin to keep its purity, it has to be the case that 21 million stays, and so that means we have to have activity that justifies fees in the long run. And so Bitcoiners should support stacks. They should support those Bitcoin NFTs. I have to say it was delicious over the weekend. I don't know if you guys enjoyed it, but seeing Bitcoin Maxi start to argue for censorship, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I thought one of the funniest things was they were saying, "Oh, well, you can't just lie to the chain. Like you're lying to the chain right now. It's like you got to be honest." And it's like, wait, this
subjective
is trustless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got numbers, right? You have data, and that's it. And you're going to divine its intention. I mean, come on. This is why any subjective concept is going to fail in the long run or get corrupted. Anything, it doesn't matter what it is. Hate speech or whatever. Anything that you can't really pin down what it is, it will get co-opted by power and used, silence opposition, confiscate wealth, whatever. It'll get corrupted. And so it's the same way here. You can't be trying to divine the intention of people when they're putting data into the block. That's ridiculous. That's totally antithetical to everything Bitcoin stands for. And so, there's a meme that goes around of there's kids fighting, and there's two kids on the ground, and other kids are cheering. And normally they'll put different people on the kids. And the one that's really funny, they all say libertarians. And it all says libertarians, and they're all cheering it on. The two of them are fighting, and the rest are cheering it on. And that's what that reminded me of over the weekend, was that it was all the libertarians like unable to get along. Yeah, but
Yeah.
One thing that I always find comical, like before all of the CeFi stuff blew up, it was a lot of Bitcoiners saying, "Well, put your coins on these CeFi platforms, but don't trust Ethereum or Stacks because that's a scam and it's a Ponzi." But okay, I'm gonna give my money, I'm gonna give my Bitcoin to a BlockFi, to a Celsius that's truly running Ponzi's. I mean, how crazy is that to see? I mean, it's just so paradoxical where we're saying don't trust the smart contract platforms, but okay, I could trust these guys over here that are giving money to who knows who.
Yeah. Well, BlockFi still owes me $100 for its credit card rewards. I tried to. I emailed them because I owed them $2,000 for my final payment, and they owed me $100. And I emailed them to say, "Hey, can I just write you a check for $1,900? We'll call it even." But they didn't go for it. Apparently, that's not how it works. So I still have to pay the full $2,000, and then they're just going to keep the $100 forever. So anyway, that's part of the terms of contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Anyway,
but,
what's the next topic? Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say too, with the maxis, it was like what the Bitcoin conference last year. The audience, they asked the audience how many people owned Ethereum, and like just about everybody in the audience raised their hand, and they were all shocked. And it's like, I think it's kind of a little echo chamber that they're trying to see how pure each one of themselves are. And in all honesty, there's a lot more people that just hold Bitcoin as kind of the understanding that this is freedom money. And like, I think Stacks reaching out to those people and kind of bypassing the maxis is probably the way to go.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The maxis are religious.
Are we going to do a party?
Yeah, you want to? Okay, yeah, totally. Let me do it. So is there any other questions you want to get to the bottom of?
Well, I mean, there's a ton of stuff we can always talk about.
Do you have any last burning questions? I'll go get the party room.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, Huddle.
I was just thinking if he wants to give a little update on where NeoSwap's going in the next, 2 to 4 months or something like that.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Well, okay. So we're in the middle of our first real growth push, with the new front end. Okay. We did a lot of experiments over November, December. And where we are in the short term is that we believe there's at least a small amount of product market fit to be. I mean, we're in the search for product market fit, right? And the final form of what we want to build is really a chatbot based, personalized text to trade engine where you would connect your wallet and you would describe to the bot. We're calling the bot Theo after Van Gogh's brother, who was an art dealer. So you say, "Hey, Theo, what trades do you have for me today?" Or, "Theo, what's the cheapest way I can get a Bored Ape?" Or, "Hey, Theo, what can I get for these NFTs?" And he'll go and match up different, because we will be able to predict at that point based on your on-chain behavior and everybody else's behavior and all the data we have. We'll be able to do a reasonable job predicting how much everybody values all the relevant NFTs. And so we'll be able to propose trades. So the long-term vision is really it'll behave very much like a generative AI for kind of text to trade. Okay. That's the long-term vision of what we're doing. However, it's going to take money and time to get there. And so in the short term, what we can do our smart auctions. Okay. Now live parties are fun, but it's hard to get people together all at the same time, especially on a larger chain. So what we have are multi-day events, which we're calling auctions. Okay. And in the very short term, to educate people, because there's a bunch of new things about NeoSwap, right? And it's always hard to get people to learn 2 new things at once. So there's simplification that we have right now. It's called a smart silent auction. And the idea there is you have one person or maybe a few people who could be NFT project owners or managers, or it could be a DAO, like the treasury. So whoever's managing treasury for the DAO, could be NFT artist, could be NFT collector who has a lot of items they're trying to liquidate. Maybe someone who's trying to sell their items for 6 months. Okay. Because somebody has a lot of items that are interesting to other people. So they say, okay, I'm going to have this silent auction. And we've all kind of been to these where there's a bunch of items, a silent auction. But what's special about a NeoSwap smart silent auction is when you go to one of these events, you know what you're going to bid on, and you can set your spending limit. So you set a spending limit at the beginning, and then you just bid on everything you like. Just bid with impunity, okay? And when the silent auction is over, we figure out how do we hand out the stuff so that the featured user, the artist, whoever it is, their revenue to them is maximized. Okay, there's a smart way to hand out that stuff so everyone gets stuff they like and the revenue is maximized to the featured user. Okay, so actually there seems to be quite a good demand for that. We just rolled it out, but the people who've done it really like it. I was amazed how smooth it is. It's really a beautiful experience. For fundraising, we think there's huge opportunity. If you guys have been to silent auctions for fundraisers, like always you have this problem where you're holding back on bidding because you're afraid that you're going to win everything. In this world now, you'll just be able to, you know, that you can bid in a free way because you set your limit. You can't overspend. So that's kind of the value proposition to the people who are showing up. Another thing that's interesting is we will be showing people in real time. If the auction ended right now, what would happen? That's not in the app yet. It's coming very soon. The kind of real-time updates, running the solver all the time. What would you get? What would you get? What would you get? And at some point we may have a question, you know, like everyone can push a button, and if everyone likes it, then we're going to go ahead and stop the auction right there. Now we're on our way to a standing marketplace. So we're going to be doing smart silent auctions where you just have, it's kind of a two-way. You think of a two-sided marketplace, Once that's running really well, then we'll be going out to the all-sided or the multi-way auctions, sometimes called combinatorial auctions, which is what you're used to, and eventually standing marketplace. So, you know, we're in the middle of lots of experiments, but the silent auctions are really fun. So I would say over the next few weeks you'll see them on Stacks and attend them because it's a really nice experience.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to touch on that NeoSwap is doing a really cool job is the investor updates.
Oh yeah,
you guys have given us, and a lot of people in the community have been really interested to know, okay, what kind of playbook could I follow to give my investors an update? I know you guys raised some money. You guys were a part of Stacks Venture cohort 2, I believe. Tell us how you came to create these updates, and tell us what your investors think about how you guys do the updates.
Okay, I got a bunch of things to say about this. First off, the updates, well, I'm a very goal-driven person in general. I mean, I have a vision for my life. You know, I've got a mission and all that, and I review it every week. And so I have a good, you know, kind of sense. The book Goals by Brian Tracy, I would really recommend it to anybody. It's a great book. The Artist's Way, another one by Julia Cameron. That's another really good book for trying to figure out what are you supposed to be doing. Okay. And I think that in life, it is very important to have a kind of a sense of purpose of where you're headed. Okay. But in order to get there, you need to break it down into long and medium and short-term goals and tasks. And so for us, the investor updates are useful. Can you click through? Is that live? Are you able to click in there?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Let's take a look at it. There you go. So you're going to see weekly updates. So you're going to drill down onto one.
Which one would you?
This first one would be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. So that's what we accomplished last week. All right. Now, if you scroll down, you're going to see goals at the bottom, the goals for this week. In the actual update. Yeah, there you go. Good. There are our goals for the week, and you can see who's supposed to be doing them and what's going on. Okay. So every Monday, we set our goals for the week, and every single day we have our stand up at the start of the day. And we go through the goals. How are we doing? Okay. And we have updates. Now, of course, sometimes things change over the course of the week, but generally speaking, we're trying to accomplish these goals this week because on Monday, we know the investor updates are going out the door, and we're going to have to tell the investors what happened. All right. So that means every single day we are making progress every single day. You know, if you read Atomic Habits, there's the principle, the 1.01 principle. If you're 1% better every day, at the end of the year, you're way better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason that we do this. Now, I should say Alex Dunstan, who's one of our advisors who really has helped us, he encouraged me to get out regular investor updates, but I took it to the next level and said, all right, let's do it every week. Okay. Mm-hmm. And because we have this system where we set the goals on Monday, review them every day, Friday we have our wrap up, and then Monday we see how we did. It's not a ton of work. That Kim, who's one of our party coordinators, she takes these and she arranges them into an investor template, and Purple gets together the trade of the week. And then I make some little, preamble, and I use ChatGPT to help me with that. So it takes about 30, 40 minutes to get the email out. Okay. And then I use GMass for the mailing, so there's a bunch of things that we do to make it pretty fast. So it gets done all in under an hour or so. But mainly it's about accountability, that the whole team knows on Monday this is going out. And do we want to look like fools, or do we want to look like we know what we're doing? And so the answer is we want to look like we know what we're doing. And because we're a machine. This is something people don't appreciate. NeoSwap has a world transformative idea, but we are also a complete execution machine. There's no waste of time. Everyone is in the right job at NeoSwap, and we're all crushing it every single day. And there's no better investment in my mind than NeoSwap. I feel sorry for the people that passed on us early because I let them down. I didn't explain it well enough to them. And I feel sad. They're going to have regrets. And so it's like, and so when you go into investor calls and you feel in your heart you are the literal best investment in the world, I think that comes through. Maybe it's a little arrogant, and maybe people think, who's this guy? I think he is, but I don't care because I really feel it. And I think that's how you become very strong, is if you're just crushing it. I mean, obviously I have to make decisions and whatever, but that I would prescribe this. That is a very intentional approach.
Yep. Yeah, John, I can remember talking to you back before, the accelerator and getting almost that same, just how driven you are and how you seem to run the team and kind of your vision for the future. I was like, man, yep. If I could invest, I would have.
Well, I was put on earth to do this. I really feel that strongly. I was put on earth to do this 100%. This is years ago, I was like in lucid dreaming. Okay. And I wanted to meet the Buddha. And so I had a lucid dream, and I kind of brought the Buddha into the dream. And I went up to the Buddha and I asked the Buddha, okay, what advice do you have? And Buddha said in this dream, what you were put on earth to do can be done by you and only you. And I think that's true for everybody. I think everybody's here to do something. And if you don't do it, the world will miss it. The world won't get it. It won't be that somebody else will do it. It won't happen. And it'll be a loss. And I think all the people that are flipping burgers at McDonald's, whatever, that's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be doing something else. And it's sad that they're not doing it. And so when robots come and take those jobs, thank God, because now those people are free to go do whatever they're actually supposed to be doing. So I think that we all have a purpose, and that one of the most important things we need to do is find that purpose. And for me, bringing this form of commerce to the world is my purpose. That's what I'm here to do. And so when I'm doing it, I'm connected with it. I feel like I'm riding this giant wave, and it is unstoppable, like just unstoppable. It is happening, and people can invest or not. And, it doesn't matter. We're going to make it. And so I would encourage everybody, really try to find that thing. We're all supposed to feel that way. We're all supposed to feel like Michael Jordan playing, first game, Portland Trailblazers, 38 points first half. Like, that's what we're all supposed to be doing. Yeah.
No, I hear it. And I echo the same sentiments that Hodl said. When we had a chance to meet you guys and learn more about you during the first interviews for Stacks Ventures cohort 2. And I thought, I mean, there are certain companies that stand out from people, product, and a vision. And you guys had that from day one. And then to see you guys here now, still thriving, even though we're in another crypto winter, and who knows what the economic conditions may be, but we still get the sense that people are excited. And the vision of what this can be in the future gets me even more excited, because you're doing NFTs today, but when people can trade couches for NFTs and other physical goods in places where they never thought they would be able to me, that is where the actual vision and execution meet in the future.
Yeah. Or mortgages or whatever it is,
whatever it is. Why don't we do the party too?
Okay, sounds good. I want to show you guys something though, because I think this will help you. I mean, in terms of vision here, look, this is what really motivates me. Here's a book. Okay, here's a stats book. All right, and in this book, at the start of each chapter, is a little picture of a feature about some famous statistician and what he did. And that's what motivates me. So when I'm dead, I want there to be a little book about economics, and there'll be a little picture of me, and it'll say, Dr. John Ennis was a mathematician who did all the stuff, and now the world economy runs on his thing. And thanks to him, we doubled the global GDP. And for his efforts, he won the Nobel Prize in economics. That's what motivates me, is like having that when I'm dead, I'll have left a mark, like, James Watt and the steam engine or whatever. That's what really is, the thing I'm after, is having that kind of impact.
Yeah, that's really cool.
All right. Let's do it. So do you want me to share my screen and take you guys in?
Yeah, please. With the last 5 minutes here, would love to show everyone how the party works.
We should be able to spin through this. Are you guys logged into your Hero wallets?
Yep.
I am.
All right. And we should have some team members, I think, behind the scenes that can join us.
Okay.
Yeah. So how's your stuff going? You guys are you guys in the cohort 3, or how's that?
No. We all work full time, and we reached out to some friends at Stacks Degens. They created the race car game, and Maria Verse is helping us build, and Kenny's still involved. But we got the smart contracts done, and so just to give you where we are on the current journey here, let me share this. So the vision for us is still remains the truth, where the mission is clear. We've always wanted to give people access to their work history and their data, right? We're not some tech forward company building on blockchain. Blockchain enables us to give people ownership of their data. So we right now we have people coming in, and it's just a directory, right? So people are saying, hey, I provide this service. If you're looking for people who do podcasting, if you're wanting to find people who do art, and this is the crazy part too, because Hodl Stacks and I, we're still talking about it. We obviously we created all of this content so we could share the good thing that people are building on Stacks, and that's always been our purpose. But eventually, we're going to have a button right here, and you can work with this creator to do this thing, and it's all going to be driven by smart contracts that hold the collateral. Once both parties agree that the work is complete, the smart contract unlocks the collateral, and then you earn your reputation. So we'll have NFTs in the marketplace that show, hey, I've earned this reputation by doing this work in Web3. And so we're so excited about that, because I mean, look, we have told friends and family, and people are coming in and saying, yeah, I'd love to be able to earn some crypto to do that service.
Yeah.
So that's what and what were we going to say, Hodl?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Well, I mean, in the future, after we close our seed round, and we're looking at B2B, because right now we're focused on kind of B2B to C, but or B2C to C. We be happy to talk to you guys about groups of people collaborating, because maybe you got I mean, it'd be great for a startup. You're an entrepreneur who is, say, good at marketing, but you need a developer. Well, you could do marketing jobs for a bunch of other companies in the ecosystem, and that could give you the money to get your development work done and to get whatever else done. You basically have a community of people all helping each other. NeoSwap could really help work out the cooperation, where you'd have all these different jobs. You could have jobs, NFTs, currency, all mixed together. And you don't need a lot. So then you wouldn't need a lot of currency. I was talking about accessibility earlier. To start a business takes money. But if you have a skill that you can leverage to get jobs done, then you don't need as much money to start. So it's much more open economy then, where all you need is
something. And I'll open up the kimono here. Something you and I had talked about months ago. I would love the ability to apply, like buy a license and apply NeoSwap onto our marketplace and exchange all types of services for different things as well. And to me, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
And useful. It adds utility.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. So next year. Yep. Okay. Let me share my screen. I shared with you all a link to the room in Twitter. So you're going to have to log into Hero. Let me share my screen, and I'll.
Okay. When you share your screen, I'll pull it on screen here.
Okay. So I can share my screen now. Yeah.
You can share a screen, and then I'll pull it on.
Okay. Oh, the only thing is I'm going to need, got a blue light filter on here. So let me turn that off real fast. Okay. Oh, it's a little nerve-wracking sharing your screen, you know?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So to share this one window. All right. Do you see my screen?
Okay. I need to pull it on the live stream.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. So here we go. I'm signing in. I just signed a little agreement with Hero.
did you send us the link?
Oh, it's in Twitter. I sent it in a Twitter chat to you
Okay.
guys.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. All right. F1 podcast. Is that one of you guys, or is that?
No. Did you said you sent it in the Twitter DM?
Yeah, in the Twitter DM.
Yeah, I'm signing in right now. Oh.
I don't have it.
All right, I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
All right. Can you stop my sharing for a second?
Here, let me hide it. Okay. There's no.
Okay. Let me get my screen back up here. Okay, so I'm not sharing. Okay. Yeah, here's the link. I'm going to send it to you in Twitter here. Or is there a chat function within this?
There is not.
Okay. So you should have just got it through Twitter.
Okay, I'm looking on Twitter now.
Yep. I should be on there now.
Okay. Are you F1 podcast? Is that you?
No, I just have a wallet with 715 stacks in it.
Okay, let me get back in here.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me hit join party. Okay.
Yes, we need to join party. Okay, there we go.
Okay, should I pull your
I'm
screen
in.
up, John?
Yeah, you should be able to get it back up.
Okay. I'm gonna sign in.
Great. All right, so let's take a look and see who's here. It's got me. Okay, is this one of you guys?
That's me, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. And then we've got one other attendee here. I think they advertised a little bit. So Zero, I can just run through this if you want.
No. I'm gonna log in right now. 1 second.
Okay.
I want to participate.
Yeah, so you got a new chat feature. We actually have voice chat. Pretty cool for live events.
That is cool.
This is just gonna be an open party. So let me see what I'll put in here. Usually, increasingly, we have themes. That's been a big lesson. Is that on our larger chain, a big open party like this doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just too many.
Oh, you know what? I just realized you guys have multiple drop downs now. That's pretty cool. Polygon Solana stacks.
Oh yeah. Hey, so Hodl's here. Okay, nice. All right.
All right. I should be there now.
All right. Let's take a look. Can you chat with us?
Let's see.
Yeah, join. You might have joined the party.
Did I? Oh, let me join the party. Okay.
Good. All right. You're in?
I think so.
There you go. Zero. Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right. So let's just pick some, I don't know, low value items. Let's take a look. Remember the Citadels project? That was a fun one.
I love the Citadel project.
I did. I mean, it's all those early days of stacks, they were so fun.
I know.
I always wanted the castle or whatever the big rare one was.
All right, I'll just put some Citadels in this room for cheap. Okay. So if you click on list, you get a little pop up, and you can pick a sale list. Now there was a little issue here. Oh yeah, it's been fixed. Awesome. I'm just gonna put these all on like fire sale, so people can pick what they like. You have to press list to actually pick it. Someday these will somehow become worth a ton of money, and I'll really regret this podcast.
Hey, I'll send them back to you.
All right.
No. I'm gonna do fireside. I got some steady lads too in this wall.
Oh, steady lads, nice. All right. Outages. All right. I'm just gonna put 7 of these guys. Okay. So I've got a listing. Cool. And then I can see the items that other people have listed. All right. Now we actually have concurrent listing and bidding now. So you don't have to wait to go to a different step. You can just, this is a weed monster. Interesting. Oh, wow. That's a good price. All right. I'll bid 100% above that. Nice. That's a good say, lad. So I can kind of scroll through here.
Yeah, I actually went overboard and I bought too many, so it's all good.
All right.
As Huddle knows, we both can be some degens on the NFT side.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so.
Oh, I remember Stacks MFers.
All right. Collection floor. Yeah, that was so fun last summer doing all this stuff. Going through.
It was. It was.
Yeah, that's fun. Always have fond memories of those times.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, Mr. Wagme. All right, that's cool. What is this about? All right, I'll do that. That's fine. All right, so I got my bids. And now I'm going to, I got some new items. We have a pass button coming. That'll be cool. Where you'll be able to, well, that's very good. Yeah, with the pass button, you'll be able to just pass on items and you won't see them anymore because you see new items are coming in as people are listing them. So it's much more dynamic than it used to be. All right, what do I set? Let's go and set it to 50. All right.
Wow, I didn't know vaping apes are 40 stacks on the floor.
Yeah, some of those things have gone up, but the floor price is really not a strong indicator of what something will sell for.
No, it's not.
All right, let's see who's left. Okay, so Zero and F1 podcast.
All right, I'll finish. And then it says set spending limit.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. Purple is posting it, so you can tag people in here and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. The room for a while. Yeah, that's okay.
I love that you guys have the chat there too.
Yeah, the chat's actually quite good. All right, here we go. So we're gonna be finding a trade here. Here it comes. There you go.
Awesome, man. That's so cool to see that your graphic there, and you could download that now.
Yeah, you just press a button, download it.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm gonna add that on the tweet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing when you really think about it that you're going to get group people together and with very low friction, figure out the best trade in the group. You got 5 people there. You're actually going to find that trade. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
so dynamic. And I'm a perfect example. I just grabbed the old wallet I had that was readily available. I had no NFTs in it, but you can still, as long as you have stacks, you can have fun with it too. So
yeah, it's. I mean, this is something that's new. This is a new thing in the world that this can happen and actually works. So at NeoSwap, it's just our job to figure out what's the right way to get the world to understand this. You think about great artists like Van Gogh, right? That great artists see something that the world is finally ready for. And then they have the skill to communicate it to the world in a way the world can understand it. And that's what we have to do at NeoSwap is the world is ready for this and it will provide a lot of value. Now the world is very used to the old way and it's going to require a lot of education and hand-holding and a lot of work to figure out how do we get people to see that this is now possible. But once they see it, it'll be everywhere. You'll turn to your smart speaker and say, Alexa, what can I get for this blender? And she'll say, well, for the blender and $10, you get an extra bike. What do you think? And okay. And this stuff will just go into circulation. And it won't, it'll be a much more efficient economy.
Yeah, much more.
John, something that I'm about to tweet this, but the infograph or the GIF that you create, it's gotten 100 times better than when you started last year. I'm really impressed, man.
Thanks. Yeah, that was
really cool.
Company Open Telos did that for us. We worked with them obviously, and we were involved, but they had a lot of good ideas. Yeah, but it just goes to show, do anything, then make it better. That was advice my dad gave me when I was wrapping up my PhD. It's great advice. Get something running, then make it better. Don't try to make it perfect from the beginning. Just iterate and keep making it better and better.
That's really cool. That, man, it's so crisp and clean now. Really cool to see.
Well, the first one was generated in R. Did you know that? It was running R code behind the scenes to make
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a totally kludged together thing.
Yeah,
right.
This has been cool. So we're at time here, and John, I just wanted to say thanks again for all of the updates. You really embody the open source mindset, man. Just like sharing the investor updates and like giving people a playbook for that, sharing all of the updates about switching to chains and where you guys are right now. It's just so cool, and we're just so grateful that we can be your friend and keep in touch with you guys and continue to see your updates coming out. I'm super bullish on what you guys are creating. And
Awesome.
there was a question from Call Me Hunch. So what exactly is happening here? So let me pull that back on screen here.
Well, if Call Me Hunch is there, maybe they can answer some follow-up questions. So do they mean what's happening in the trade? What does that GIF mean? Or do they mean what happened in the whole event?
Let me ask. Why don't you explain what's happening in the trade?
Okay. Well, the GIF means if we the GIF seems to be paused. Let me see what I can do to.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. It's moving. Okay, good. So the GIF means you got 5 people here, and if you look at
said, the GIF.
GIF. Okay. So what happened is that we all put in some information about how much we would sell our NFTs for, and how much we would buy everybody else's NFTs for. We also specified how much extra money we were willing to spend. Okay, because we want to maybe we're willing to spend a little bit of money. Like if you look at mine, I said I was willing to spend up to 50 stacks. I spent just under 18. Okay, so I put a limit on how much I was willing to spend. And what NeoSwap does is it figures out the best trade for the group, the trade that benefits everyone as much as possible. Okay, where based on how much we said we would sell things for, there's an estimate of how much we like the items. Based on how much we said we bid, there's an estimate on how much we like those items. And the goal is to get people to like the stuff they get better than the stuff that they gave up. And so in my case, I much prefer these 4 NFTs to these 5 and the little bit of stacks. So I like this. And was your trade, would you guys also get good trades? Did you like what you got?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I love the Citadels.
Yeah. So that's the point. And that's what commerce is about, is giving up stuff, whether it's money or wheat or bread or whatever it is, that you don't value as much, and getting stuff that you do value. So that's what NeoSwap does. It uses AI and Web3 to go to the very heart of what commerce is, and it reimagines it in its most pure form. So just like blockchain is abstraction of ownership to support commerce, what NeoSwap does is it optimizes the reassignment of ownership. So really, NeoSwap in some sense is optimal commerce.
And shout out to Sats Runner. Good to see you, friend. Appreciate that. And I know Hunch said he'd like to invest. There aren't any shares today, but maybe you guys will eventually have a token for governance or something available like that.
Yeah. Well, call me Hunch, depending on how big of a check you want to write. Send me a DM. I mean, we are raising funds. We raised $2 million pre-seed. Yeah. But yeah. Okay.
No, this has been great. And by the way, Call Me Hunch said, "Holy smokes!" I mean, this is why Hodl and Stacks and I are bullish on just the tech that you created. I mean, you could apply it to so many things, but when you when you tie it with Web3 and ownership, man, you have a powerful tool.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, guys.
Well, hey, John, thanks so much. Really appreciate your time on a Monday here. Hodl, Stacks, really appreciate it, and thanks so much to both of you guys.
All right, thanks a lot. Always a pleasure.
Hey, take care, John. It's always good chatting with you.
Yep.
See you, Zero.
Bye.
Bye.
Zero Authority is a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems. Thanks for supporting the community. Remember why you started.